Welcome, everybody, to the Poorly Drawn Podcast. I'm your host, ANK, and today we'll be answering two questions. Firstly, I believe that it goes without saying I should explain what the Poorly Drawn Podcast is, because you guys might be thinking to yourself, and what is this? I haven't heard from you in months, and now I see this notification in my notification bell. I'm part of the notification squad. Also, I guess shout out to the one person on the Watch Mojo video. He commented, I'm part of the notification squad, but I don't know what that even means anymore. Like, in a sea of abhorrent comments on the Watch Mojo video, that was truly a gem. I honestly think that the Watch Mojo video is like some of my favorite comments. Because like all of them are just like, every comment on that video is just a call out for me not making videos. Either way, so what is the Poorly Drawn Podcast? Well, the Poorly Drawn Podcast is basically just my show for between shows. So I'm trying to get these videos out weekly, bi-weekly. I haven't really made a schedule yet. I'm trying to get these videos out on a pretty regular basis. If not, I'll like alert you guys on Twitter like, no video this week or whatever. This is basically just a little thing that does take time, most certainly, but takes a lot less time than, you know, writing a 4-page video essay on the history of the animation industry. It's not something to showcase my writing like ANK is. It's not something to showcase and have fun with editing like So I Watch. It's just kind of something to relax with. Something to have smooth jazz in the background. Shout out to the Half and Half podcast for having jazz in the background and causing me to have an epiphany as I... What was I doing when I listened to that? Oh, wait, I was... Okay, so shout out to the Half and Half podcast for causing me to have an epiphany while baking garlic bread in the oven. I wasn't even making garlic bread, I was just heating garlic bread up in the oven. And it was like garlic bread that I got at Olive Garden. Shout out to Olive Garden if you want to sponsor me. You can, you know, I'm not gonna say no, but... But yeah, that basically explains what the Poorly Drawn Podcast is. We might have guests on the show at some point. We might not. I don't really know at this point. But what I do know is that you guys should ask me questions so I can answer them in the podcast. Because originally this podcast was actually going to be called the Q&A NK. I still think it's a good title, but I didn't want it to solely just be in Q&A and I can't even say Q&A anymore because I've like tried recording this podcast like 7 times. Every time I think it's terrible. I've gotten times where I'm like 30 seconds in, I just do like the opening, and I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna cut that. Or I get like, I had a cut of this that was 36 minutes, and I was like halfway through talking about the second subject, and I cut the podcast because I thought it wasn't funny. And then like I tried 7 more times after that, and I was like, wow, I really should have kept that first one. But like I said, you guys should ask me questions, because today our subject was inspired by a question, actually. I forget who, but somebody on Twitter commented to me posting a picture of my ticket for the Emoji Movie, along with me spinning a fidget spinner and Barry Benson in the background. He commented, why would you do this to yourself? And I thought, you know what? To introduce everybody to the Poorly Drawn Podcast, I thought it would be a good idea to clickbait everybody into watching something about the Emoji Movie. Because for some reason, everybody and their mother has been talking about the Emoji Movie. I think it's just because no matter what, like, there's no good side to it. There's no... Because with Sausage Party, like... Terrible movie. Terrible movie. But you can at least say, like, oh, I can understand why somebody would like it. You know, it's kind of like taking that Toy Story edge and sharpening it without, you know, actually doing anything with that concept. But, like, I can at least see why somebody would like that concept. And while I don't find Seth Rogen to be particularly funny, I can definitely see why some people think that he's funny, and I can definitely see why he's so popular. With something like the Emoji Movie, I don't... Like, you know from the very beginning that the Emoji Movie's terrible. Like, there's no way that the Emoji Movie can be good unless it's like a Lego movie kind of style where like the entire thing is just a deconstruction of the type of story that it's going after. Which, when it was announced, I was really hoping for. I knew that it wouldn't be the case, but, you know, I was holding out hope, I'll be honest. So, to start from the beginning, I saw the Emoji Movie. It came out July 28th, but I actually saw it July 27th because I wanted to see it premiere, and I actually got somebody to come with me to the premiere of the Emoji Movie. And I did this by asking them a month before we saw the movie if they wanted to see it, and then they said yes, and then I reminded them like a week before, and I just kept making fun of it. Like, the Emoji Movie was like Christmas for me. It was like opposite Christmas because it took life away from me, but it still made me so happy. Like, the very fact that the Emoji Movie existed and everything that it represented for the animation industry and for the film industry even, I hate it and I find it repulsive. But there's something about that. There's a certain charm that gets attached to the movie, an ironic love for it, because like I said, there's no way that something called the Emoji Movie Express Yourself can be any good under any circumstances. So fine, it's like seeing like a really dumb dog like chase its tail for like an hour. Like, you don't know whether to find it cute or sad, so you just kind of laugh. So I saw the movie July 27th, and I walk into the theater, nobody else is there. I'm the only person in the theater besides the person that I came to the movie with. So we sit there, and I just burst out laughing constantly because, you know, I'm seeing the Emoji Movie in theaters. And then another crowd walks in soon after, and the crowd that walks in, I kid you not, it's three guys, and so they walk in, and I'm just staring at them because I'm surprised that anybody came to this, and I'm pretty sure they're staring at me because I'm staring at them. So because we're making awkward eye contact for a while, I just because the fact that they're seeing the Emoji Movie on July 27th was already a gift. So it's like, you've made a great choice. And then one of them stops dead in his tracks. His friend walked to the back of the theater, but this one guy stares at me and he stops. And then he walks towards me and he just goes, "Are you seeing this movie legitimately or for the meme?" And I just go, "For the meme." And then we high-fived and he walked to his seat. So that was probably, I would say, half of the crowd for the movie when I saw it. Surprisingly, I think like most of the theater was actually packed, even though I saw it like, again, not only did I see it the day before it actually came out, but I saw it like 7 p.m. Like, not really like the nightlife and not really like a matinee. Like, just kind of like towards the end of the afternoon. So I burst out laughing like constantly as the movie's like happening. First 5 minutes was glorious because not only was it the Emoji Movie, but it was also 5 or 10 straight minutes of just puns. Nothing but puns. Like, no other joke but puns. And like a few minutes in, I stopped laughing and I stopped smiling because, you know, the magic wore off. The anti-Christmas magic was gone. It wasn't funny anymore because I realized that I was seeing the Emoji Movie for the next hour and a half. Okay, so all memes aside, Emoji Movie is a terrible movie, don't watch it. End of story. Like I said, every critic and their mother has made a video on it, but I guess while I'm here talking about it, I should just make that very clear. Go see like The Woman Without Hands, or whatever it's called. That one really good indie movie that I haven't seen yet and need to. Just like all of you, don't lie to yourself, you haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it, but it's supposed to be amazing. Let's first talk about the story. The story is dreadful because, okay, so have you ever seen the movie Wreck-It Ralph? Imagine Wreck-It Ralph, but animated by Video Brinquedo and then like polished by a third-party studio. And that's basically the animation in this. And take the screenplay of Wreck-It Ralph, take out any character from it, process it into the most inoffensive, generic, non-impactful bucket of pulp that you can. Like, literally, the plot of this movie is main character wants to fit in with everybody, but he can't because of a special power. So he goes to fix his power, but he realizes that his power actually makes him unique and special. And because of that, he realizes that he doesn't need to fit in, but he needs to fit in his own mind. And I can name like 5 movies with that exact same plot. And, you know, none of the characters help. Gene is the most, like, Act 1 and 2, Gene is the most generic protagonist possible. He has no character. He has no, like, there's nothing that differentiates him from any other protagonist. Like, at least Ralph, you know, he was actually, like, fighting something. He was fighting against the bias put on him that he was a villain, and he'd be nothing more than a villain. Gene is fighting to make the right face. He's fighting with himself, and it's a fight that's really easy to win because all he has to do is literally nothing. What about Jailbreak, though? Does Does the emoji named Jailbreak bring something to the table? First of all, let me just tell you something. Her design is hilarious to me because not only does she look like the one girl from the Lego movie, which I guarantee you is what they based the design off, but she also looks like Chloe from Life is Strange, and just the idea of that was hilarious to me throughout the entire movie. Like, they're on the Spotify world, and Gene's just like, isn't this great? And Jailbreak just goes, wowzer. Oh, I need to make a video on Life is Strange. I've only played episode 1, and it was one of the most amazing video game experiences I've ever had because it was so funny. Okay, and I guess like the last few characters to mention are Gene's parents. They're in the movie for like 5 minutes. They're not in the movie a lot, but it feels like they are. They have a lot of screen time that leads to nothing. They have an entire scene in YouTube that leads to nothing. They have an entire scene where they fight in the wallpaper, and that leads to nothing except for them splitting up for like a little bit, and then they go to Instagram and they make up. It's weird because the Instagram scene is like terrible, but I honestly think that's the closest this movie gets to being good. To tangent off of the characters for a second, the only other ones are Smiler, who's the villain, who is completely just like nothing important about her. You could write her out of the entire movie, nothing would have changed. The other one is James Corden, is High Five. Imagine Genie, but just make him, like, just don't make him good, really. I think that's a good way to describe most comic relief characters in a lot of bad kids movies. Basically just take Genie and make him not good. But to tangent off of the characters for a second, the way that they incorporate the worlds of this phone, it's actually one of the most disgusting displays I've ever seen in any movie, because it's so transparent in what it's doing. It's nothing but product placement. And in a weird way, I kind of respect how transparent it is, because it really is just no holds barred. Like, we're in Just Dance now. There's no beating around the bush with it. It's just like, we're in Spotify now. Your guess is as good as mine as to why we're here, but you know, we want to make sure that we made our budget back before we even release the movie, because God knows nobody's gonna watch this. They have the Textopolis thing, which is whatever. Twitch, like, Twitch is an app on the phone, but they never go in it. Like, they never once go into the Twitch app, but it's there the entire movie. Like, it's just sitting there. They have a scene in YouTube where they walk in and Pineapple Apple Pen is playing for some reason. That was one of those memes that I missed, and I just kind of look at it and was like, why is this a thing? Can somebody please explain to me why Pineapple Apple Pen was ever popular? Like, I don't understand it, and I don't understand why it was in this movie, because obviously it's gonna be dated. It's animation, guys. Have you not seen any Simpsons episodes in recent years? You can't be topical with animation unless you're South Park and can animate it in like 4 days. You have to be timeless when you're doing something that takes a long time. What other worlds did they go into? They went to Instagram, which I thought was the best use of one. They went to Spotify and went on Soundwaves, which was really dumb. They went to Just Dance. I didn't even know that. Did anybody know that that was a thing? Like a Just Dance app? How does that even work? I didn't know that that existed until I saw this movie. They went into Dropbox, and I kid you not, there was actually a line where the main characters are being chased by like a virus that the main villain, Smiler, sent after them. Smiler sends this virus after them. It's chasing them, they like outrun it, and they get to Dropbox, which is their ultimate goal of the movie. They've been like name-dropping Dropbox this entire movie. And once they get into it, the virus is chasing full speed after them, and it crashes right into the app. I believe Gene goes like, oh no, it's chasing us. And I can't make this up. Jailbreak looks at him and says, I'm pretty sure this is a real quote. She looks at him and says, don't worry, it can't get in here. This is a secure app. I can't make fun of this movie because it makes fun of itself. It can't get in here because it's a secure app. Like, it has stuff in it that's so dumb. I can't believe that this movie got made. I honestly cannot. You know, part of me is cynical and it's just like, you know, obviously this movie would get made. It's inevitable. We got like a silly band movie in 2011, so no duh, the Emojis are gonna get a movie, despite the money. No matter how much money that you're going to make from it, how did anybody put pen to paper and say the Emoji Movie? That is something that needs to exist. That is something I need to spend literal years of my life making sure it comes to fruition. It's crazy to me to think that a studio would put all of their hopes and dreams in the Emoji Movie. And what doesn't surprise me about it is that the company behind it is Sony. Honestly, the only thing that surprises me about the studio behind it is the fact that it's not Illumination. If Illumination made an Emoji Movie, all bets would be off. I would make like a 2-hour video essay on why it's terrible and you should never watch it. Sony really is not much better. It's a studio that has built itself on mediocrity in recent years. Cloudy with a Chance Meatballs was alright at best. I've heard Cloudy with a Chance Meatballs 2 was not very good. Surf's Up wasn't very good. Surf's Up 2, WrestleMania, looks like it's going to be in the same league as the Emoji Movie. And then they have Hotel Transylvania and Hotel Transylvania 2. I haven't seen either of them, but from what I've heard, those movies are good, and it's not because, I guarantee you it's not because of the studio. You had, like, Gendy Tartakovsky, like, directing it and Rebecca Sugar storyboarding it. Like, of course it's going, I'd be surprised if it wasn't good. Quite honestly, I think Sony wants to be Illumination. It wants to have a hit like The Minions or like Despicable Me. The only movie I think that didn't really do as well for the company was Hop. Go back and watch Hop because it's a glorious time capsule for like, what, 2004 I think it was released? I think that's all I want to mention with the Emoji Movie. Don't watch it. I haven't really scored it, but if I had to, it would probably be a 2 out of 10. It's so non-special that I can't even get mad at it. On one hand, like, I'm mad that it's such a bad movie and it'll probably make its money back and then some. But on the other hand, it's so bad that, like, I just kind of feel bad for it in a way. Now, would I say it's the worst movie ever made? Of course not. Of course it's not the worst movie ever made. I've seen much, much worse movies. Rhapsody Street Kids, Joshua and the Promised Lands, Food Fight, Little Panda Fighter, What's Up Balloons to the Rescue. All movies that, at least 4 of them, I would say, are worse than this movie. The only movie out of those 5 that I would say is better than the Emoji Movie would probably be Food Fight, because at least with Food Fight, there are interesting concepts. There are interesting things in that movie, and there are some decent performances in that movie. I don't think I can name a single good performance or even passable performance in the Emoji Movie. And that's surprising because I did like the main cast. I think James Corden on his show is funny. I think JT Miller is hilarious and like one of the only reasons I sat through Silicon Valley. And while I haven't like heard a lot from her, I forget her name, but the voice actress for Jailbreak also did Penny in BoJack, who is one of the best characters in one of my favorite shows. And I'm, like I said, on one hand, I'm indifferent towards this movie because of how bad it is, and on the other hand, I'm disappointed. For as little potential that the Emoji Movie had, I feel like it didn't even try. Like, it saw how little potential it was, and it saw how much potential financially, and it didn't even make an attempt. Quite honestly, I think that's the thing that really bothers me about it. I think that's the reason I really want to talk about this movie, despite the fact that like, millions of people have been like, oh, the Emoji Movie is the worst movie ever made. They made a poop joke. Let me spend the next 5 minutes reiterating the fact that Patrick Stewart is in this movie and plays the poop emoji. Honestly, that's just what I'm assuming. I haven't seen a single review for this movie, and I've actually been sitting on this topic for quite a while. Like I said, I saw this movie like 2 weeks ago as time of recording this, but basically all I wanted to say about it, don't see it, 2 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for listening. Welcome to the Poorly Drawn Podcast, everybody. Like I said, this should be just, you know, like a little series that comes between series, a little show in between shows. You can ask me questions in the comment section so I can answer them next time, and you can also tweet at me at probably ANK. You can also follow my second channel, Studio Net, where I post my animation stuff, which is mostly where I've been for a while. It's good to be back. It's good to be back making videos. You know, it's good to be talking about the Emoji Movie. And with that said, goodbye from the Poorly Drawn Podcast. I've been your host, ANK, and I'll see you next time.